What up YouTube? It's Luca and welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to be giving you some quick tips about the clan war events. So as most of you probably know, the clan war event has two parts. The first part is Collection Day and the second part is War Day. So in this video I'm going to be giving you tips about Collection Day. And the tips I give you are going to be for the 2x Elixir challenge and for the Sudden Death challenge, as I don't really have much tips about the draft challenge. So before we get into it, just remember to like and subscribe. So the first tip we're having is to use the Inferno Tower. So you may ask yourself, why do you need to use the Inferno Tower? Well, that is because you will be mostly playing against people with beatdown decks with heavy hitting cards that attack buildings like Golem, Battle Ram, Hog Rider, Royal Giant, but also troops that don't necessarily hit buildings but do hit hard, like the P.E.K.K.A. and Mini P.E.K.K.A., the Prince and the Giant Skeleton. So for all of these reasons, I think it's great if you would use the Inferno Tower so that you can defend against these heavy beatdown decks. So the second tip I'm going to be giving you is that you should use spells, especially spells that do a lot of damage, like the rocket, and the fireball is also a good spell to use. Why should you use these? Well, that's because as it's 2x Elixir, people will most certainly send in big units clumped up together, and with spells you can devastate their push in just like seconds, which gives you a huge Elixir advantage over your opponent. So the next tip I have you is that you should use splash units, because aside from the people that use heavy beatdown decks, you can also find people that will just rush you with fast moving swarm units. And splash units, they perform incredibly well against these kind of decks. And they will also be pretty useful against the beatdown decks, as they are just like moving spells. But I do prefer spells more than ranged troops. I mean splash troops, sorry. And the last tip I give you is to not use the Elixir pump. Because, as I said many times before, this is a 2x Elixir game mode. And what will probably happen is that they will just like send in a rocket or something to take out your pump, just because it's 2x Elixir and they can afford that. And on top of that, the pump still regenerates the same elixir as it does in a one-time elixir, so you don't really profit elixir from it. So now on to the tips for the Sudden Death challenge. The first tip I have you is to always try to counter the cards of your opponent with cheaper cards. Because if you do, you can rush in with a Hog Rider or something while your opponent is at like 2 elixir, which can be devastating and yeah, can give you very much value. Next tip, this is kind of an obvious one, but that is to always stay alert, because yeah, if you lose one tower, you lose the game, so you definitely have to pay more attention to what your opponent is doing. So the next tip I have for you is to avoid damage on your towers at all costs, because this isn't just a normal battle where you lose one tower and can still win. Here you lose one tower, you lose the game pretty much. So yeah, you need to avoid the damage, and you can also use this to your own advantage by sending in like a chip card to lure out your opponent's decks. I mean cards, sorry. And the next tip I have for you, and the last one, is to use fast troops. Because if you can rush them and deal even the slightest amount of damage to their tower, then you can have a higher chance of winning. So that were all the tips I have for you today. I hope you can perform better at Clan Wars, and I hope you like and subscribe to see more on the channel. I'm gonna go now, so yeah, bye everyone.